Alright guys, new job rolled in. These are Afr Enforcer copies, so they're made in China. I think they're 185s because the bowls are pretty darn big. I have to check the number on them. Somebody did a bit of work on them. You can see they just hit it with a cartridge roll in a couple spots. They just hit that wall a little bit. Got to be careful. That wall is really thin on this. It's Siamese with the exhaust, and there is not a lot of metal. Someone did a decent porting job on the exhaust. I would rather have them virgin, but you know, the work that the guy did was not bad. You know, certain things on them, you know, you make a head that big from an original Ford design, it causes some issues. I mean, I'm not thrilled about the way the spark plug is at all. That super thin piece of metal right there, and you know, it's going to have how many spark plug threads coming through. I don't know. It looks like he was using spark plugs that only went so far in there. That's kind of interesting, right? I'll have to ask him about that. So what did I do with these? Well, you know what? Let's take a look at the stock ports some more. Okay, it really doesn't look bad. It's got a decent sized pinch in it, but there's not a lot of metal on that pinch to make it any bigger. So you certainly got to be careful of that. If you take a look at the short side radius, it's an Enforcer copy, so it's got a pretty decent shape. You know, it's not bad. The inside radius on that corner is relatively generous. Alright, the exhaust, you can see the size pipe he had on it. He's got a generous anti-reversion lip on the bottom, which is awesome. He comes basically right to the size of the pipe width-wise, and he has a slight anti-reversion dam at the top. I am going to try not to make that any bigger at all. I think he's got a good size right there, and that's the way I'm going to try to keep it. Okay, let's go over the flows quick. 300, we got 175. Now this is a 202 intake with no back cut. He did give me his entire combo, and I'm taking this out of the back of my head, so if I make a mistake, I'm sorry. 393 small block Ford, of course. He's using an RPM air gap. He's running about 7.0 in the eighth. I think he's running a C4 tranny, 410 gears. Big solid flat tappet. Okay, and the heads have 202 1.6s on them right now. The guides look good, and whoever did the valve job did a nice job because they all look really good. But he did send a set of 208s, and if the inserts are big enough, they're going to get upped in size. I just got to take a good look at them. I wanted to do a little work to them with the 202s and see what we can do with them first before we do all that work and put the bigger valve in. Okay, let's see. At 0.15, we got 88.1 on the intake, 83 on the exhaust. Notice the exhaust, N, 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 N. It means it's noisy at all those lifts. That noise is not good. That's usually where the short side radius, the air is coming around the short side radius and going up to the roof, causing turbulence. Not good. I'm going to see if I can eliminate some of that. Take a look at 300, 175. 175 is not a great number with a 202 valve. Okay, on the exhaust, 145.7. At 500, we're up to 260. That's why I think it's the 185, because The 165, they advertise it as going like 250. I think, and honestly, I don't think it'll do more than 235, 238 on my bench. But nobody took me up on my port your AFRs for $500, so you guys lost on that. And the exhaust was 183 CFM with a P. And 198 with the big pipe. Those exhausts are too big for my small pipe. Okay, and up a little higher you go to 276, and then it starts going back down. Okay, 183 is maxed out on the exhaust. Okay, first cut. Not really able to take anything out off of the wall attached to the exhaust. It's already thin. I can go taller. There's relatively a decent amount of casting on the aluminum. I can certainly go wider this way, cylinder wall side. But if you see, it's already got, let's see if I can get this focused. It's already got a high bowl ratio. So, something to think about. Okay, the chamber got a slight deshrouding and changed the shape a little bit. Put my scavenge plateau in on the exhaust. Okay, worked on the short side a little bit. It's already very laid back, which is probably the AFR design. Okay, I took a little metal out here, took a little metal out of there. That's all I did according to what I saw for the airspeeds. Okay, you can see I did some radius work on the short side for the valve job. I got rid of the stocker has got, angles. Well, you can put more of a radius on your short side and you can pick up some decent flow. Okay, I really didn't lower the short side much because it's already quite low. I made it a touch wider, and I did raise lower one side a touch to move some air over to that side. Okay, back of the bowl, you can see it's got a big notch that shouldn't be there. If I go to a bigger valve, I might be able to get rid of that. I have to check my thickness. It's aluminum, it should be plenty thick there. Okay, your exhaust, just a slight reshape. The bowl is not, I don't know why they make those deep cuts like that. You really don't want that metal removed from there, so you're better off just leaving it the way it is, to be honest. Leave that ditch there. Was able to take some metal out of the outside cylinder wall. Can't take anything really out of the center of the cylinder because the intake port is right there and there's not a lot of metal there to begin with. And if you go too thin, it's not good. It's just adding exhaust heat to your intake port, so not good. Okay, you can see I did some work on the short side radius. I don't think I showed you this view of the stocker. Let's go back and I'll show you this view of the stocker. Okay. Come on. Get some light in this so you guys can see. Alright. Did not change it radically, but I changed it enough that it made a difference. Okay, it's a bit wider, it's a bit more laid back. Okay, you can see a slight reshape in there. Nothing drastic. So let's see how we did on first cut flows. Let me put the pluses and minuses in, guys. Okay, first cut's fairly successful. If you take a look at the third column, we got one minus. At 0.1 inch, we went from a 63.3 to a 59. Do I care? Not even a little. Okay, take a look at 300. 175 on the intake, 181. Small pickup, not great. How about 500? We go from 260.9 to 269.6. You know, decent pickup, but nothing great. And above that, 276.6, 288.3, 272, 292. It actually gets better as it goes up. You got 20 CFM at 700 lift. Now his cam is not that big, but it's a good sized solid lifter. It's like, I want to say 256 duration at 50 on the intake. It's a decent cam. This actually flows way too much for that RPM. He needs the intake I picked up yesterday. Well, the other guy doesn't want it, so that will be available. All right, take a look at the exhaust. We lost right at 0.05. Went from 27.7 to 27.4. Do I care? Not even a little. Okay, go down to 200. We've got 107.8 to 113. Notice we only got one N. That's the only flow that it was noisy. So the work I did on it already took care of that noisy issue we had on that exhaust. All right, take a look at 300. We go 145.7 to 149. Not a huge difference. 500, 183 to 194, 11, you know, and change. We got 198 with a pipe, with a pulse. See the P? Okay, pulsing is not good. It's having trouble at that point. And on the first cut, we go 210 with a pipe. A little better. And then we're 183 to 193. We got up 10. And 180 versus 193.3. So we're up 13. So overall, first cut's pretty decent. We can take a quick look at the air speeds. Far left, push rod pinch. The ones on the left are stock. Then my first cut. They are actually more even after the first cut. Okay. Get out of here, bug. All right. Roof, center of cylinders was 214. I got it down to 192. Okay. Notice the stocker was 214 and 176. Large speed discrepancy on the back of the bowl. Not good. Tried to even that up a little bit. So, cylinder wall side went up in speed a little bit on that side and down a little bit on the other side. Okay, short side radius. It's way laid back, so the speeds are relatively decent. Right? Now, as I got more flow through it, center of cylinder speed actually went up a touch. The center went down a touch, and the cylinder wall went down a touch. So I would say it's a little happier. Well, except for that 370. I'd like to knock that down, but that's got that forged sharp corner on it. That's where the air wants to go. Okay, all the way to the left. On here was the first cut. 318, 122. 320, 236. Okay. Now after I did some work, this sped up a little bit. 321. This sped up a good amount. 198. That's a nice pickup right there in that corner. Okay, we were 80 in the center. After I did some work to it, it dropped down to 0. Not great. I'd like to get that more than 0. 0 means you can actually airflow could actually be going back into the port. And if you study how turbulence works, you can see how that would actually happen. That's not what we want. We want to get the exhaust out. So I need to work on that. And this corner picked up. It went from 236 to 242. This corner picked up 320 to 325. All right, guys. 15 minutes for a first cut. Take a look at it. Overall, I don't know who casts these, but they really don't look bad. I hate to say it. You know, it's got the 4 holes. Where is that aluminum? I had an aluminum Ford over here somewhere in my junk pile. But I don't think they're the same castings. These are similar, but they're not the same. These are the ones that I thought were Promax. And I never got confirmation whether they are or not, but they flow better than what I've got, what these are. These exhaust ports are definitely different than these exhaust ports. Now these I know are 185s. They say right on them 185. These don't say anything. They don't say anything anywhere except those couple numbers that I spotted. I'm sure somebody knows what kind of head this is. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Hopefully somebody enjoys this. And I do need to finish up the GT40Ps. They're in the finesse stage, which takes forever. And it gets really tedious, so I can only do it a couple hours at a clip. But that's just about set. That intake is set. I got to flow all that together for you guys coming up. Thanks a lot for hanging out. Have a good night.